Hello guys and girls, welcome back to the Racing Line for another circuit guide here on iRacing. This is week 3 of season 3 2026 in the BMW M2 Cup around Circuito de Navarra. This is an official race session, so the conditions match. Same format as before, breakdown lap followed by a full speed uninterrupted lap followed by an offboard lap. This is a fixed series, so no setup is needed. So let's see if we can help you guys find some time. This circuit is extremely technical. It's a difficult one. It's not a lot of people's favorites. And as we're going to head towards the first sequence of corners, it's a load of fast right-handers. So we're on the left-hand side initially. We're going to go flat out into the first right-hander, come back to the outside, and then when the curb starts, we're going to start trail braking all the way through this right-hander. So we're going to go down to 5th, start turning in towards the apex. After the apex, down to 4th, down to 3rd. Use all the curb over here to really open up and anchor in this right-hand turn before we get straight back on the power, using all the curb on the exit and keeping your right wheels on the circuit. If you accelerate too early, you will understeer off. The next left was flat out in 4th gear, and now this one is also kind of tricky. When the curb starts, we're just going to graze the brakes in 5th gear and keep it in 5th as we carry the speed through this left-hander. You're then going to get back on the power all the way to the outside of the circuit, and again, just as the curb starts, we're going to brake from 5th down into 3rd gear. Now this is where a lot of people are losing their time. They're braking too late, but you really want to turn in, hit this apex curb and accelerate through the chicane. As you come up and over the brow of the hill, the next braking zone is at the midpoint of the curb going down the hill. We're going to go from 4th into 3rd, but this is exactly where a lot of people are losing their time. As you come off the brakes, you can turn in and hit that apex and get straight back on the power, using all the curb on the exit again, keeping your right wheels on the circuit. Most of the corners here are braking hard in a straight line, late apex and early on the power. As you can see here for this next hairpin, 100-meter board from 5th down into 3rd gear, hard on the brakes, coast in, trailing in, hit the apex, straight back on the power, use all the curb on the exit, keep your right wheels on the circuit. Come over to the right-hand side now as we set up the next corner, 50-meter board or the start of the curb, hard on the brakes from 4th down to 3rd, trailing in, hit that apex curb, accelerate early, use the exit curb, keep your left wheels on. You'll see the red and white patches stop for a bit. When they restart, you're going to dab the brakes in 3rd, keep it in 3rd, coast in, straight back on the power, use the exit curb. Now get back over to the left-hand side. When the curb starts again, we're going to brake from 4th down into 3rd, trailing in, late apex, hit that apex curb, accelerate, use the exit curb, keep your right wheels on the circuit. One corner to go now. This next one's flat out, so we'll ignore that one, but keep it on the left side as you exit. We're going to brake before the curb starts this time, just ever so slightly before. Hard on the brakes from 5th down to 3rd. Keep the car straight, come off the brakes, anchor in that steering, straight back on the power. You don't really need to use the exit curb there. As you exit, you should be exiting at an angle that pretty much just carries you down the straight. Some people will be using 2nd there. Not too sure which is 100% better, but let's go through that again. Full speed uninterrupted. So we're heading towards turn 1, sequence of right-hand corners. It's important not to brake too hard for these sequence of corners, as you will hit that ABS and you will understeer wide. So this first one, flat out in 6th gear, come over to the left, curb starts, brake, down to 5th, come off the brakes, down to 4th, down to 3rd, keep that braking on, just sort of feathering it all the way through, anchor it into the right, use the exit curb, straight back on the power, up into 4th, flat out through this left-hander, get over to the right-hand side. You can have 2 wheels off the circuit, no problem. When the curb starts, you're already in 5th, graze the brakes, keep it in 5th, turn in, get that nose in, straight back on the power to the outside of the circuit, brake again, down to 3rd, turning in, coasting in, straight back on the power on the apex curb, up into 4th through the hill. And this, I actually started this race in 2nd, but this is where I overtook 1st place. Halfway down the hill now, down into 3rd, get it turned in, straight back on the power. Really important to get a strong exit out of that corner in particular, as it is a key overtaking opportunity as well. Next one, nice and easy, 100-meter board down from 5th into 3rd. Just start trailing off, turn it in, hit that apex curb, straight back on the power, use the exit curb, keep your right wheels on the circuit. Come over to the right-hand side, 50-meter board, hard on the brakes from 4th down into 3rd, get it turned in, straight back on the power, use the exit curb, keep your left wheels on the circuit. Red and white restarts, about 30% brake pressure, coasting in, straight back on the power. Get over to the left-hand side now. When the curb starts, 4th down to 3rd, coasting in, hit the apex curb, but not the sausage, that's a little bit too much. Straight back on the power, use the exit curb, keep your right wheels on. Open this up if you need to, but it's flat out in 4th gear. Keep it on the left as you exit, just before the curb, braking, down into 3rd gear, hard right, straight back on the power. Use the curb if you really need to minimize that steering angle and friction, and across the line for a 155.6. That is pretty much it from me. I'm going to leave you with an off-board lap as usual, and as usual, if I don't see you on track this week, then I'll see you next week for the next video here on the Racing Line.